Only we would roll down a hill with no brakes into a gunfight, right?
Welcome back to the RV Odd Couple. My name is John.
And I'm Mercedes, and long story short, we sold most of our possessions in pursuit of freedom, independence, and adventure.
Because life is so short, guys.
And we found adventure and almost shortened our lives on this trip. Route 66 has been on our bucket list since before we started RVing. So when we finally had a chance to go to a ghost town, our brakes literally fell off.
And we didn't have cell phone service.
So here is our story of being stranded in Oatman, Arizona.
On Route 66. I'll tell you, if you're ever in this part of the country, Oatman, Arizona is a trip. We absolutely loved it so much, we had to go back twice.
We've gone to a ton of ghost towns, and we don't normally revisit them a second time, right? But granted, half the reason we had to revisit Oatman twice was because we had such a horrible experience the first time we went.
So one of the things we absolutely love to do on our RV adventure is we love to meet people that we've known on YouTube. They knew we were in the area, and we said, sure, we'd love to get together with you. So we paired up with them and another couple who we've been caravanning with and planned a trip by back roads to get to Oatman.
Ever since we've gotten a Jeep, he likes to climb and go over things that are not paved.
Now, we have had a blast jeeping with Jason and Amy for the past couple of months, going places where most people can't go.
Yeah.
But when we go out jeeping now, Sage loves to ride with Jason and Amy. She doesn't like to ride with us. What are you doing, Bobby? We invited Bob and Tam to sit in the back of our Jeep. So look who we found. We found Bob and Tam from Bob and Tam's Adventures.
Excellent adventure.
And our kid decided to drive with our other friends. She's not in the truck with us, which is kind of a nice break. Now, Jason had planned a really cool route, which is all back roads into the Black Mountains, which was just beautiful.
It was really pretty.
And we were heading out to Oatman. I had no idea we were going to Route 66.
Yeah, but we didn't realize we were on Route 66 until we were broken down.
I had let Jason get quite a bit ahead of me because the roads were rough and dusty. And so to get out of his cloud, I had backed up. Now, granted, again, Sage is in that car. Mm-hmm. And it was about, I would say, probably maybe 12, 13 miles of pretty rough dirt roads.
Now, I have never sat in the back of the Jeep when we've gone Jeeping before. But I did notice, like, man, it's really noisy back here. And I thought that it was just because of the rough terrain. And I even mentioned it, like, it's really noisy.
Like, something's snackling around back here. I said, we're just on rough roads. We had been on the dirt road for quite a few miles, and I saw ahead of us that there was a paved road. So I'm like, oh, cool, you know? And I didn't see Jason and Amy. I didn't realize that they had gotten that far out ahead. And as we went up the hill off the dirt road to get on Route 66, I noticed that my brakes were really spongy. I didn't have any brakes. So I says to Bob, something's wrong with the brakes. You know, I got nothing here. And luckily, we were only doing about 20, 25 miles an hour. So I downshifted, pulled the e-brake, slid off to the side of the road. Now, of course, the first thing I'm thinking isn't Oatman, right? The first thing I'm thinking is Sage okay? Which she is okay. But secondly, I'm thinking, what do I do? Do I call a tow truck? I don't know how bad this is, but I literally had no brakes. None. Zippo. And so Bob and I got out, take a look. We got up underneath. We had saw the caliper had fallen off. It was hanging only by the hose.
Oh my gosh.
So I was able to take a bungee cord and kind of just, strap it up to my shock absorbers so that we could roll down into Oatman. And that's exactly what we did. So we started rolling down into Oatman.
Downhill.
It was all downhill.
Brakes. Our brakes on a bungee.
Yeah, the only thing that we had was to downshift my transmission, and I also had my e-brake, but the e-brake isn't great, right? Yeah. It's not going to stop me quickly, so I just got to be super, super careful as we go down to Oatman.
You know, this is like the one time where all these bungees that John is constantly buying, it was like, I'm finally down for the bungees.
I love my bungees, man. There's not much I can't do with a bungee. Immediately, we went to our cell phones to call Jason and Amy and say, hey, we're broke down, but there was no cell phone coverage, so we couldn't get in contact with them.
This was really scary. When I realized that there's no cell service and I can't call Jason and Amy and they have my kid, I'm kind of freaking out here. On one end, I'm happy that my kid is in a vehicle with functioning brakes, right?
And good people.
But on the other hand, I'm kind of scared because of all the days that we forget our walkie-talkies, it was today. We always have walkie-talkies and are talking back and forth between the two Jeeps.
Yeah, so we took that caliper, we bungeed it up to the shock, and we started rolling down towards Oatman. And I started pulling the emergency brake so I could stop.
So we're knowingly driving without brakes. Did you just do the emergency brake?
Yeah, I got nothing.
Oh man. We're not even that far like inclined down.
And then we got people walking down the
road. And then you're gonna have donkeys. You can't hit the donkeys either.
And then keep an eye out for
Well, you can go down here all the way to see somebody already stopping traffic.
Uh-oh.
Oh, they're doing the gunfight.
Yeah, they're doing the gunfight.
Can you stop?
There's a gunfight up there?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
That's probably what they ran up there and they're watching that now.
I bet they're past it though, because I didn't see their Jeep from here to there.
I'm literally, I don't have much more to pull here, so.
Do you want me to stand in
You
front
can
of
stop
the Jeep
anywhere.
and
You can
stop
stop
it
anywhere.
with
Yeah,
my...
he's saying he can't stop.
This is it.
Get out in front and stop.
Until
Do you want us
Okay,
to
put in park. There you go.
It's going to be a while. It takes about 15-20 minutes. Let me look and see if anybody around here has got any tools around here.
All right, John. Only we would roll down a hill with no brakes into a gunfight, right? But the gunfight was actually a blessing in disguise because it stopped traffic and kind of gave us a little bit of an opportunity to regroup.
Right. And this is typical in Oatman. They do these play gunfights multiple times a day, and when they do it in the center of the road, and both sides of the traffic on Route 66 have no choice but to stop. And so we stopped. We were only, I think we were behind one vehicle in front of us. It was an RV right in front of us. And I heard that. And what was really funny is Bob jumps out to go to the back to see what he can do or what tool he needs to get it fixed. And I immediately headed towards the gunfight. I said, I want to go see this gunfight, man. Oh, we getting Bob dirty now?
Yeah.
Hey, what'd you do to my truck, Bob?
Yeah.
Did you see any burrows? I can't believe there's no
Did that hold up that bungee I had on there?
Yeah, but it's the piston's out now.
But it doesn't seem like it wants to go in. Come on out of there.
Gonna need a new caliper too.
Now, the gunfight was also a blessing in disguise because Jason and Amy and our kid, they were all like stopped in that area checking out what the happenings were.
Yeah, they weren't worried about us. They're like, they'll catch up.
The gunfight was an opportunity to catch up with them.
Right.
Now, mind you, it was still pretty dangerous because there's a lot of people in a small space outdoors.
It's funny, we're going through all kinds of old
That'll be big enough.
Some type of a clamp. Oh,
Or a welding clamp would work too. No, that's official.
no.
A welding clamp would work too.
Yeah. Let me, we've got the shed here.
Okay.
You guys look
Okay.
here.
All right.
Everything's gonna be nice here.
Let's see what we're looking for. I didn't think about a welding clamp. That would work too.
Well, I don't know a lot about mechanics, and thank God Bob did. So we ran into a local store, and we found an old clamp.
As old as the ghost town.
It was almost as old as the ghost town, and the guy said, I don't take credit cards, and he just gave it to us. He let us walk out with it. So Bob and I went back out, and he was clamping that down. Right as Bob had finished doing what he needed to do, to get it up, the gunfight ended, and these people were waiting for us to get out of the way. So the timing couldn't have been better. Bob and I were able to get that taken care of, get it pasted back or bungeed back up to the shock absorber. And then Mercedes, Jason, and Amy found a spot for us and held it for us literally about 15 feet in front of where we were. So we pulled off to the side of the road there.
And we are on Route 66. blocking traffic.
This is the thing you did?
Yes.
Oh my
So
goodness.
you broke down right in the middle of Route 66.
Maybe that's a sign.
yeah, it's a sign.
We shouldn't be around.
And we went in and had lunch.
Well, no, we forced you to have lunch.
Well, I'm thinking in my head about a solution. You know, I
Yeah.
can't drive this, right? I've got no brakes.
Yeah.
Bob lives about 18 miles away. And so they talked me into going and having some lunch and kind of try to think it through. And I'm that guy that when there's a problem, I freak out until I can figure out what the solution is. I just wanted a solution. Are we going to call a tow truck? Are we going to try to risk this and drive? So we went in and we got some lunch, and then we kind of talked about what the plan was. Troublemakers, block traffic both ways.
Sounds like a party I want to join.
But it's like we still have all these problems to kind of work through. We decided against a tow truck, which was really a risk, but we had Bob on our team, so
we had Jason and Amy who could safely transport Sage in front of us.
Yes.
Right? So I try to talk Jason into riding ahead of me in case, you know, I lost all brakes and he'd stop me. He said, no, I'm not going to do that. You want to do this, we'll stay behind you.
Yeah, he refused to.
Great friend.
Yeah.
So you never should have driven. You should have towed it.
Yeah.
I'll make sure they understand Sage is not in the vehicle. Bob tells us we'll get about 13 miles with no brakes. All I got is the e-brake that's sketchy.
Yeah, so blame Bob and write the mean comment. I'm kidding.
But we couldn't call a tow truck because there's no phone service.
Yeah.
So we'd end up having to sit out here probably all night before a tow truck could show up.
Yeah. But one of the things that Bob was able to do, which was such a blessing, was he was able to help us find a route back to his home that didn't involve a lot of turns.
Or lights.
Yes, and that was kind of away from... And a turn with no brakes.
Yeah.
Okay,
You can always get into the sand pit here and use the rocks for like one of those truck stops, you know, when you're coming down the hill.
Don't worry, if I hit it, I'll hit a telephone pole before I crash into somebody else.
So everybody got your seatbelts on, right?
Yeah, I got
Airbags ready?
So I got downshift and I got an e-brake that's maybe working at 10%.
Nice, crazy. Start slowing down.
No, I'd rather make you guys nervous.
I'm like,
John,
Hey, well,
You can always
don't
you can always go off road here. We could do some off road.
I
You could do some brush cutting here.
don't encourage
Those
him.
trees would probably slow you down. And a big rock. We're gonna turn right.
How are you stopping it?
Downshifting. He's burning the transmission up.
Well, not too bad.
Oh, I'm so... Oh, John, don't you dare.
I wanted to get that light, babe.
So,
Well, these people run lights, so you have to watch them here. A lot of people die on this road.
that's so sad.
you don't need to add that comment.
Oh, that's the truth. So now we're gonna add a few lights along here before we get on the back road.
But we're not stopping at the AutoZone first.
No, because you gotta take the old one off to match it up. Plus they want, if you don't, they want $25 more for the core charge.
Core charge.
And I'd always like to take the old one anyway, so you make sure you get the right one.
Okay. And it was actually a really pretty drive. I don't know how much of the drive you got to enjoy, but
I was uptight the whole time. But once I made the first couple stop and turns, I started to understand, you know, the vehicle. I was downshifting with plenty of room, and the e-brake had just given me enough. So I just had to stay back and go fairly slow. But we made pretty good time back to Bob's house. Bob had an AutoZone that was literally about a half mile from his house.
I'm looking to see, I've got a 2017 Jeep, and I'm looking to see if you have a left rear caliper for it.
Bob went ahead, has all the tools you could ever imagine.
It was the perfect place.
It was the perfect place. Sage went in with Mercedes, and Bob and Tam have grandchildren, so she had an unlimited supply of toys for Sage to play with.
She was having so much fun the whole while. John is like on freak out mode, like his wires are
Just
fried.
uptight. I didn't feel comfortable. I need to get it fixed.
Yeah.
Could you point to what's broken, please?
This thingy is unattached to the other thingy.
Really?
My husband is really good with bungee cords.
You know, so Jason gave me a ride down to AutoZone. Yep. Bob started taking the tire off and getting the vehicle ready. Got all the parts we needed, and Bob put me back together so that my brakes were perfect.
Bob and Tam didn't ask us for anything in return.
Nothing.
We owe them a debt of gratitude, and we are so thankful for them because they are good, salt-of-the-earth people that, you know, they just give more than they take, and we want to thank you guys so much for that.
It was wonderful, but I still wanted to go back and kind of enjoy Oatman.
Yeah, he didn't enjoy it at all.
No, so I called Bob and Tim. I said, hey, let's make another appointment to go out to Oatman. Let's have a lot of fun. I really want to get into that town.
Yeah.
And boy, is Oatman a trip. They've got these old burrows that were brought in by the miners 100 years ago.
Yeah, because it's an old mining
It's
town.
It's not a mining town. It's a camp. It was
That's right.
never incorporated. But in 1901, somebody struck gold there, and the place just exploded. They brought these burrows in to help, pull gold out of these mines, and they left the burrows behind in the 1940s when the United States government forced it to close because of the war that was going on, which just about killed the town.
Well, because when the war was going on, the government said, hey, stop mining for gold and start mining for other metals that we need for the war effort.
It literally became a ghost town, and the only thing that kept it alive throughout the years was that Route 66 runs right through it. So that kept traffic and people going, back out there. And some companies started buying up the property. It's kind of a tourist trap now.
So be warned.
Yeah. Sage loved feeding the burrows. Now, these burrows are interesting because they're not indigenous to this area, right?
No.
So the way they eat is to come down from the hills to have the tourists feed them, and then at the end of the day, they walk up into the hills where they sleep at night.
The burrows take on a personality. The whole area is really proud of their burrows. And
They name them.
Yeah, and they're not to be called donkeys.
No, they're not donkeys, they're burrows. In 1902, there was a company that went in and found $10 million worth of gold, and then the boom was back on again, and it took off for quite a few years.
One of the big attractions here in Oatman is the Oatman Hotel. And this is a huge deal because Clark Gable and Carol Lombard, who admittedly I don't know who they are.
They got married in Kingman, which is about 40 miles away, and they spent their honeymoon in the Oatman Hotel.
And it's kind of weird because they
It
have
is a
a
little
big
creepy.
picture of them together right in front of this room where you can look into the room where they had their honeymoon. It's a little awkward.
It's a little creepy.
But I totally peeked in the room. Now be warned, this is totally a tourist trap if you're not careful. But I think we made it out pretty good considering that we just got lunch and we got a little burrow. You have to get a little burrow.
And I got my Route 66 sign. I didn't have to steal it.
That's true. We totally fell for the tourist trap now that I think about it.
Yeah, but Oatman is one of those places you can't miss if you're ever in this area. Right now we are in Laughlin, Nevada. We're leaving tomorrow, so we won't be here by the time this video launches. But we've been here for 3 weeks, and what a really cool area. If you're ever in Laughlin or Kingman or anywhere around, with Nevada, Bullhead City, this is definitely in our top 5 places that we visited since we've been RVing for the past 2 years. We loved Oatman. We are so blessed and grateful that Bob and Tam just happened to be with us when we went out there.
And as a thank you to Bob and Tam's excellent adventures for everything that they've done for us, in the next video, they're going to do Oatman more historical justice than we were probably able to do in this video. And they show a baby burrow that is just like the cutest little darling thing. You have to check it out.
His name is Walter. Enjoy it, guys.